Hello, good evening. Hello and welcome. Good evening, everyone. Um, can you hear me? If you can hear me, say hi. Hi, Mimi. How are you? Hi, Meg. How are you? Okay. Everything seems to working great today. How are you guys doing? Yay. Okay. Things are working great. Thank God. How are you all doing? Good evening. I'm happy to be here. I hope you all are happy to be here too. Hi, Eunice. Good evening. How are you? These are times when I wish we had audio. Wish I could hear you guys speak to me. How are you doing? How's your week been? Productive, I hope. Welcome, everyone. If you're here, please type your name and where you're joining us from. Let's do a little bit of networking here. Please type your name in the comments. Tell us where you're from. Good evening. I'm happy to have you. I'm happy to be here tonight. I hope you're all doing well. Please let us know where you're joining us from tonight. So that's cool. Nice. I'm doing great, Eunice. So where are you guys from? Again. I feel like we do this all the time, but it never gets old. So for the sake of anyone who's new here joining us for the first time, tell us where you're joining us from and your name so everybody else can connect with you. Okay. On my end, it does take a little bit to start to see your chat, so please bear with me. I see Eunice from Pennsylvania. Hi, Eunice. Okay. Welcome. Okay. Hi, Meg. Okay, so while you go ahead tagging people, I think we're gonna jump right in. Or maybe, let's see if anybody else is introducing themselves here. How has your week been? Okay, welcome. All right, so let's go right into the topic for the day. Okay, and I'm going to start to share. If you are a coaching student, what are you doing here? Because you guys know all this stuff. All right, so let's see. I'm trying to get used to Zoom again, so I want to share my screen. Let's see. Hey. Okay. Okay, I see that now. Share screen. Let's see what screen is gonna ask me to share. Welcome, everyone. Please, if you're here, tell us where you're from so we can say hi to you. while I share my screen. Oh, okay. I can't seem to find that, but I'm sure it's somewhere. Let's see. We will share screen today. Okay. Okay, so share screen options. Okay, so let me share. Okay, there we go. Finally. All right, so I'll share the screen. Welcome, everyone. Good evening. How are you doing? I hope you're having a great day so far. It's Friday eve. Oh, no, it's not Friday. It's Tuesday evening. And it feels like the week just started, right? Mondays are usually for catch up. And then we kind of start to get the ball rolling on Tuesday. Hi, Stella. Welcome. Good evening. How are you? All right. Nice to have you all here. And good evening. Tonight, we will be discussing a very important topic. And you guys know this is important because everyone is trying to avoid pitfalls. Anyways, by the way, I'm going to introduce myself again. My name is Yinka Olumorin, Connecticut, from Connecticut. I am a host and a coach on this beautiful, amazing, impactful platform consisting of all of you guys, both in and out of coaching. And what we do as coaches here is to help people get started in real estate investing, give you that soft landing you need to start to do deals and to structure your business correctly and more. And I do this with Dari, my husband, who is also a coach, a licensed builder into developments, new constructions, done a bunch of fix and flips as well, and other exit strategies, so wholesaling, lease options, rentals, short-term rentals, long-term rentals, all the good stuff. So that's what we do here. That's what our students are doing, and you are welcome. And this topic, how to avoid risky investments, is very important. You already know. And just today, I had to tell a coaching student, no, do not do this deal. Don't touch it. Hi, Tolulokpai, how are you? Hi, Queen, how are you? Queen, good job, by the way, on your answers. You're very detailed. I like your style. Welcome, Nelly. How are you? Nelly from Houston, welcome. All right. So yeah, it's just today I had to tell coaching students this deal needs too much. Don't touch it. It looks like you're gonna make 150,000 in profits, but don't touch this deal. It's dangerous. So imagine not knowing what you need to go for. It's hard. So you gotta avoid risky investments where you think you're making money, but you're really not making money. You're actually losing money. So some people go into real estate investments blindly with the hopes of making money, and they end up not making money. They actually end up being disappointed. So we try to avoid that. We do everything we can to avoid that pitfall. Okay. So very important. Do people make money in real estate investing? Right? Is that a yes or no? Or do people make money? Do you believe in all the stories we see around? Not just around the world, but around here on this platform. Do you guys believe folks are making money from real estate investing? Do you think it's profitable? If that's a yes, type yes in the comments if you think real estate investing is profitable. Yes or no? Do you think it's profitable? Are you in between? Okay, yes. I see some good yeses here. That's very hopeful, actually. So not everyone thinks, well, we don't know, right? So yes, people make money, but do you also think people lose money in real estate investing? So let's ask, do you know more people that make money or more people that lose money? So whatever that is for you, if it's if you know more people that make money, say make money. If you know more people that lose money, say lose money. Because there gotta be people, right? Sure, people lose money. Yeah, people lose money. So if you do you know more people that make money than lose money? So if you know more people that make money, type make money in the comments so I can know what you guys are thinking. If you feel like you know a lot more people that lose money, type lose money in the comments. If you don't know anyone investing in real estate, type none. Let's see, let's do some poll here. Let's do a poll. What do you guys think? Do you know more people that make money or do you know more people that lose money? Okay, make money. So you know more people that make money. Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay. Because sometimes I talk to some people and they sound like they don't even know if they can make money, right? Based on who they have spoken to or whose story they have heard. Okay. So the difference between making money and losing money is really knowing what you're doing. It's really avoiding risky investments. And we're going to start to talk about that right now. Yeah, there is risk, right? There is risk, but with the risk, we're trying to make money, right? So hopefully there's money to make. Yeah? Yes. I see that from the yeses. So there is money to make, but there is a system. Okay. Right, next. So here's the thing. Those people, a lot of people are like this, and because they're scared of losing money, they decide not to touch money. So they have money in their savings. They don't want to touch it. They don't want to invest in anything. Okay. They want to be safe. But the issue with being safe is, that money starts to decay. It starts to decline, right? So that's why being in the middle is not a safety net. Just not doing anything with money is not a good way to go. So the best way to go would be to forge ahead and avoid pitfalls. Okay, cool. So real estate is not a gamble. It's not a gamble. You're not like trying to figure out, it's not kind of a game of choice, like closing your eyes and trying to hope that you're okay. It's not a gamble. Okay. It is highly calculated. All right. So real estate investing is highly calculated. It's not a gamble. It's not like, I don't know, you guys, do you think stocks can be a gamble? I'm not really good at stocks. I have an idea how it works, but is it more of a gamble? Let me know in the comments if you're like a stocks person and you think stocks are a gamble. Let me know. Gamble really means you don't really have a lot of insights or calculations or ways to avoid things from happening. Or maybe it's like 70% gamble. What do you guys think? Educate me about stocks. or maybe it's in between where you just really, okay, where you hope it's gonna work. Someone says, I think stock is more of a gamble. Okay. Hopefully the stocks folks don't hear that. I don't know. Any stocks folk here? What do you guys think? Because we're trying to understand all these investment models. But real estate is sure not a gamble. We do a lot of work on the back end to make sure our investments are right. Yeah, you're right. You said you don't have control over stocks. That's true. I mean, just a news about some celebrity can make those stocks go down, right? Or news about war in another country, or maybe even rumors can actually make your stock's value go down, right? Yeah. Yeah, stock is a gamble. However, real estate is a calculated risk. You're right. I have seen too many losses with stocks. Yes. Yeah, I am an example. Don't look too far. I've lost money in stocks. Okay, so that's my experience. Okay. Elections. Yeah, even elections. Absolutely. Elections can affect the stocks market. And we talked about real estate and elections before, and we kind of have an idea of how elections would affect real estate investing, but it's more of a long-term um effect that has to do with legislations, okay, what you're proposing for real estate. All right, so yes, I think it could be for stocks, but real estate is definitely not a gamble. You got to know what you're doing, okay? All right, so you cannot guess. All right, so trap number one, let's go right into what traps you need to avoid, okay? Trap number one is buying an overpriced property. Okay. Buying an overpriced property. Just because a property is $40,000 does not mean that you should be buying it. Just because it's $10,000 does not mean that it's priced right. Just because it's worth the value of the land, that's a shocker, does not mean that it would be a good investment. And here's why. And I'm going to talk about each of those situations. Just because it's cheap doesn't mean that you would be able to sell it, resell it without losing money, depending on what you have to do with the property, right? So if you end up going over the acceptable market value of that property, it's not going to sell. Okay. So $40,000 is not relevant if you're not picking up your calculator and putting everything else into consideration. And we'll have a slide that shows everything else you need to put into consideration. Okay. So it's overpriced, not by the numbers and not by how big the numbers look, but by how much the purchase price or the asking price is compared to the other numbers, the other due diligence you have to do. So buying an overpriced property is a common pitfall for people who feel like it's cheap, I can buy it, I can afford it. I know the agent says this is a good investment, but you haven't taken the time to do your own analysis to even know what you're doing with the property and how much exactly you're going to make in profits. You don't even know your expenses at that point if you have no idea how this works and you're just looking at price. So just because the property is cheap does not mean that it is priced right or because it looks cheap. It has to be relative to everything else. And we'll see that in a moment. Okay. Number two trap is underestimating your renovation. And this is one big one that has to go hand in hand in how much you're buying the property for. If the property needs a lot of work, of course, you have to put that amount of work it needs into consideration. I will call that even number one factor. The repairs, number one. How much would you need to put that into place? okay, to be able to even potentially resell the property or bring it up to the market value. And a lot of times you can go into a property and somebody quotes you. You go with a contractor, the contractor gives you quotes, and you go get started with the project. And for each step of the project, the contractor is asking for additional 10,000, another additional 15,000, another additional 12,000. At that point, you're already going way over budget. At that point, you're already going negative because you trusted that one contractor to give you that pricing. You had no way of actually figuring out price on your own. You had no way of calculating or pre-calculating repairs before even having a contractor go in there. You did no due diligence. You just depended on this one contractor that wanted to win the bid by underquoting you. Okay, so they underestimated you underestimated the repairs because you went with this contractor who's like, I'm just going to get in and then we'll increase the budget at that point. But at least let me secure this contract first. Unfortunately, that's what it is. So you have to guide your money. You have to guide your own investment. Okay. So underestimating the renovation is a big pitfall, is a big trap. Okay. How about get additional contractors? How about you also knowing how to put numbers together? Estimating repairs, and anybody can do this. Okay. And then number 3 here, the trap that you need to avoid is relying on emotions and not numbers. If you're too emotional about this property, it has a beautiful kitchen, it's in the nicest neighborhood with good school systems, I see myself living in it, so I think it's going to be good for any home buyer. I love the bathrooms. I love this. I love that about the property. And you're not going to live in there. You know this property is for investment purposes. But you're so stuck in it because you love it. You love the area. It's the best. Everybody says it's the best. People even said, or the agent says that there are people who are bidding beyond asking. And so you continue to bid beyond asking because you wanted to win the bid because everybody thinks this property is important. You got to stop. Okay. You got to stop relying on your emotions. You must look at the numbers. And when we talk about looking at numbers, what kind of numbers are we looking at? These are important numbers. How much in repairs, like we said. Now, we know about ARV, which is your after repair value. And this refers to how much this property would be worth after it is done, fixed up, and put back on the market. What will be the worth of this property after all this work? Okay, I know there are some coaching students here. So when we say other costs, what kind of other costs are we talking about? I definitely left that there for purpose, on purpose, because you guys, some newbies go into a deal, somebody invites them into a deal and they give them numbers. You buy for this, you repair for this, you sell for this, and you're missing a lot of other costs. So what would you say other costs are? What kind of costs are we talking about? What other costs go into getting a house ready after repairs to be able to sell for profits? What costs are we talking about? Who's here? Or what guesses do you guys have? Can you type in the comments what guesses you have for other costs? What are other costs? When we say other costs, what do we mean by other costs? Okay, cool. Ika, thank you. Ika said holding costs. Yes. So can you type in the comments, explain what you mean by holding costs? Someone said legal fees. Okay, cool, cool. Miscellaneous. What is miscellaneous? So other costs. Let's break down other costs. These are things that you're not calculating upfront before picking a property that you want to buy. Closing costs, good. So we're going to have legal fees under closing costs, except there are other legal fees you need to pay. Utilities, yeah, exactly. So your holding costs, like Ika is saying here, is like your utilities, your taxes, insurance. Okay, cool, cool. For the duration of the project, good, 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 good. You already know this is not a regular person, huh? Okay, cool. I like that because I can visualize that section of your analyzer you're talking about. Okay, so other costs, your holding costs, your financing costs. How about that? Because you gotta pay financing costs, you gotta pay interest, right? So how about your interest and financing costs until you sell that property, right? How about your closing costs? Like someone rightfully said here, Emmy said closing costs. Both your selling closing costs and your buying closing costs. So there are a bunch of costs associated with holding properties, okay, that you would not know. And sometimes your exit strategy will determine what kind of costs to worry about or to deal with. So your exit strategy or what you're doing with the property is a big player to what kind of costs you should be thinking about. Okay. And then your profits. You need to have an idea how much you're going to be making. It's not enough to say there should be some profits in there. I don't care. I can make 5,000. I'm fine with that. I'm not looking for big money. I don't care. I can make 10,000. As long as it's a positive, I'm okay. That's not going to work because any kind of positive can become a negative really quick in projects like this. Okay. And that's why I will tell our coaching students anything that's less than $40,000 in profits, do not touch it. Okay. Anything less than $40,000 in profit, do not touch it. And that's why our ARE deal flow, where we have our amazing way pre-analyzing properties and putting those on the portal for our students to see properties at 40,000 and up in profits so they can make offers on. That's why we're not going below 40,000, right? Even for the deal flow portal, right? It has to be 40,000 and up, and you can choose, the higher your numbers, the better, the more room you have to make profits so that you have some room for contingency. If something happens, you're not at a loss, you still make money. So you are very conservative with how you're doing your projects. Okay. So your profit number, it must be a number. It's not an assumption that you're going to make money. It's not anyhow. It has to be profitable and it has to be a particular number that you're looking at. Okay. All right. And then the next thing is your ROI. So your return on investments. Am I better off than someone who just puts money into a savings account? Am I better off than someone who puts money into like a 401k or a low risk investment vehicle, or maybe even a private money lender? Am I better off? With all the stress, after doing all this work, would I have been better off being a private money lender, earning 10 to 12% or 10 to 15% return on investments in a year? So if you are doing this work yourself, and by yourself, it doesn't mean you're picking up the hammer and breaking walls. It means that you're putting the project together. You have someone who's on your team working for you. You have a contractor. You have your attorneys, you have your title companies, you have everyone who's doing things for your business, right? You are making all this happen. So after doing all this is valuable work. You go through training a lot of times and you're doing this. looking to do it the right way as a business owner, you're definitely worth more than a passive investment vehicle. That is an active investment. So you are going to be expecting a higher return than a passive investment vehicle after doing all that work. So what exactly is your ROI looking like? Do you have so much money in that deal? Because the more money you have in the deal, which is your money stuck in the deal, the less your ROI. Because now you're looking at how many years, or the ROI is really an explanation of how long it takes for you to recover your money back, right? So what is your ROI? That number needs to be pretty good for the deal to make sense, okay? So that is your return on investments, just in case you're not sure what ROI means. It means your return on investment. Okay, cool. Trap number 4, finally. You guys, what do you think? Bad property type. What are bad properties? What do you guys think? Can you type in the comments what kind of properties you think are bad, not good? I wouldn't buy this property, even if it's cheap. What are bad property types? What do you guys think? What are bad property types? Bad property type. What does that even mean? What do you guys think for bad properties? Okay, keep typing those in the comments. I'm going to start to list some. Let me know what you guys think. I'm eager to see your list as well. Okay, so here, Stella says, properties with foundation issues. Absolutely. If you're going to remove the foundation, you might as well just find something else. Find another project. Yes, that is correct. Properties with foundation issues. Dilapidated. Dilapidated. Okay, yeah, true. Well, yeah, badly dilapidated. So it's really bad, not lucrative enough. Yes, that is true, Amalara, not lucrative enough. Okay, so some things you might not know here. If the property is extremely small, if it's like 500 square feet, really small, it's not necessarily a good investment because guess what? If you wanted to rent that property, your tenants would be turnover too frequently for you to make money because your vacancy rate is increasing every year because people are not going to stay forever in a small property, in a very tiny, really tiny property. So people are leaving, and then each time they leave, you're at least missing 1 month, 2 months rents in that year. So imagine having to fill in a tenant every year, and each tenant that comes into that property knows that their stay is going to be short. Okay, so an extremely small property is an example. Someone says properties in high crime areas, Queen, properties in high crime areas. You're right. Yes, yes, potentially, yes, that is correct. Because, we can't find like zero crime rates, but there's some places that are like worse, really, really bad, where, your tenants are having issues because people are stealing their property, their personal belongings, and they're not staying. It's going to affect you too if it's in a high crime area. If it's like a short-term rental where you have TV, you have all this nice furnishing in a property, they're gonna, in fact, even if it's not a short-term rental, if it's like a regular property, we've seen people cut up plumbing, steel plumbing, or steel electrical wires, and it's crazy. Then now you gotta go fix the mechanicals. They steal anything. Maybe they steal a door. Doesn't make sense, but you're not gonna have peace of mind. I'm telling you, you can't pay enough for peace of mind. Peace of mind is everything. If you're constantly up at nights because even if you're not, like, if you think you want to give a bad property to a property manager, a good property manager, usually they reject it first of all. But if you now find you're lucky to have a property manager but then this property manager has to bug you all the time about your property, and they're also tired. If your property manager is tired, what can you do, right? So bad high crime area is definitely a good one. Poor physical conditions. Okay. Kind of, sort of. Bad neighborhood. Let's see, weather affected areas. Okay. So for those of you guys that invest in weather affected areas like down south, what do you guys think about this? I mean, people still live there, right? Okay, but I understand what you're saying. So natural disaster prone property. Okay, cool. Yeah. So saying the same thing, right? Okay. Okay, like hurricanes and things like that. And flood maybe. Cool. Property affected by fire. Good. Yeah. I mean, the numbers gotta make sense and you gotta know what you're doing. So it's definitely a fire damaged property is not a newbie kind of property. Okay. Functionally obsolete property. That is correct, Queen. Functionally obsolete, definitely on my list, right? Yeah, so functionally obsolete property. Functionally obsolete property means like a property that you're going from like, let's say 2 rooms next to each other have a door that kind of links them together like directly, or you gotta pass through a bathroom to get into a kitchen. It's just functional, it's not making sense. The flow is not good. So that is definitely a functionally obsolete property. Maybe a property with steep staircase. Maybe it's too steep. You can't do anything. You can't do engineering or anything to fix it. It's just steep, and it's going to be a potential hazard, right? Because people can fall. So yeah, if it's too steep, if maybe it's in a flood zone, like you guys said. And what's it with flood zone properties? Please type in the comments if you know one thing that it's not so cool with flood zone properties. It's probably one or two things. So I'll wait to see what you guys think about flood zone properties. But also, when you're doing rehabs, like you got to look at the yard. Would the homeowner be okay with this property? Would they like it? Does it have a tiny yard? Too tiny for children to play? Too tiny? Maybe you can get away with having those for rentals. Yeah, sure, right? But to sell to a new homeowner, they might not like if a property has a really tiny yard, too small, like really, really small, right? Okay, so and even if they didn't have kids that were playing, they probably want to also just relax outside or do some activity. So yeah, good, Stella. Yeah, so with flood zone insurance issues, so you gotta pay additional insurance. And also the other thing is with lenders, not every lender would cover a property in a flood zone. And flood zones are everywhere. They can be in any state, right? So if it's really close to a water body and that they have like designations, if they're marked X, if it's really close and it's in that designated flood zone area, then it is really tough. You gotta not do it. Yeah, it's gonna be a high insurance, exactly. So you gotta prepare for the hassle with funding and hassle with insurance. And now if it's a rental property and you're paying flood insurance, it's going to affect your cash flow, right? And the whole point of getting that property was to cash flow monthly. So you're going to be losing money just because you picked the wrong property. Okay. Yeah. Queen, I like your energy. Say risk of damage. Okay. Frequent maintenance needs. Okay. So in most cases, we investors are trying to fix the property anyways, but this is true. Okay. How about a property with no dining? I'm going to tell you this. There was a time that we actually built a house to sell and it didn't have a dining. For some reason, we just missed that part of the whole thing on the floor plan. We missed a dining. And that definitely reflected in our sale. We couldn't sell that property for a while because it had no dining. And so eventually we had to convert one of the rooms because it was 4 bedrooms and 2 full bathrooms. Really nice garage, beautiful property, but no dining area. Most people who, a family would want to have a dining area to sit on. I mean, you can get away with that for a rental property, but for a property you're selling to a new homeowner, you don't have a dining. That's not good. Okay, so no dining is is not a good idea at all. I'm gonna tell you that. If you don't see that anywhere, I'm telling you. Been there, done that. No dining, and it didn't sell quickly. So of course I had to drop price and then sell eventually. So no dining is not a great idea. So watch out for that. We had to convert one of the bedrooms into a dining, but the bedroom was downstairs. They had to move into the dining. So staged the bedroom as the dining, then made it more like an option. It's 4 bedrooms, but hey, you could do dining here or you could do 4. So you guys already know how that went. And then structural issues, like you said, for foundation, yes, that is definitely a big one. If that property has like a bad neighbor, it's stressful too. You have this very nice, beautiful looking property, but next door to that property is a neighbor who has too much junk going on. It's crazy. You see sellers say things like, I don't like the neighbor. That's why I didn't make an offer on this property. So even though you're buying and you're not living there, you're definitely looking at the neighbor too. If it's a rental property, of course, might not make a difference. If you're selling this property, you gotta be aware of what kind of neighbors they have, or if the property next door is boarded. And the issue with a boarded property, safety is a concern. Who goes into a boarded property, right? Those are sometimes homeless or maybe just random loitering in those kind of structures. So having that next door can be a safety risk, and people see that. So gotta be careful not to get into that kind of property type. Okay. Yes, Queen, I like that. Frequent maintenance needs that decrease value. Okay, decrease value. Okay. Okay, like maybe, sometimes with real estate market, it does fluctuate. Sometimes while it's high, sometimes low, but it's very temporal. So it can be the difference between the fall market and the spring market kind of difference. But for it to consistently fall, there must be a problem. And I'm yet to see a typical example of one singular property that the value just kept falling independent of its surroundings. So I'm yet to see that. Let me know if you have a story. Put that in the chats. Okay, cool. Also, what I have, there is actually a training on this. So if you want this training on, there's a video on the types of properties to avoid. If you want that, put that in the chat. Say, what should we type in the chats? I don't know. What do you guys want to type? A bad property, properties to avoid. Okay, so put that in the chat, properties to avoid. And Meg is gonna send you that video on properties to avoid. So type properties to avoid in the chats, and Meg is gonna send that over to you. Okay, cool. Cool. All right, so number 5 here is buying property with negative cash flow. Okay. And do not think it's straightforward. You're not only subtracting your mortgage from the rents you're collecting to know how much you're making. There are other costs also that you need to subtract. Okay. That's one thing. So some people think that they can just go into any neighborhood and rent a house out, right? So not every neighborhood supports a rental property. And that's why you are going to see negative cash flow. I've had people call me and say, I made a bad investment because I had good chunk money. I had really good money. I built from scratch to rent. Okay, a single family property built from scratch to rent. Now that's a problem on its own. I don't even want to hear the numbers. I already know there's a problem because I can get the same property with the same square footage in that same area, maybe even that will rent for way less than what you're trying to have me pay. I'm not gonna pay that because it's brand new. I would go for something that's equally new, that's less by 2,000, right? Plus the cost of lumber is high, so you can't just assume you're going to make money from renting. You have to put the numbers together. You have to make sure that the property value supports renting. The higher the value of the property, the less likely it's a good candidate for rental because you're going to be paying more in mortgage. The property value is higher. More in mortgage means less money that comes into your pocket. It could actually mean negative. You lose money every single month. I've had people stuck in a deal like this for life. I will call it for life until they sell the property. Now they can't sell because they don't have equity in it to make money. So if they have to sell the property, they have to go into closing with money out of pocket. They pay after building that property, after putting so much energy into that property. You want to sell that property. Now you have to come up with money out of pocket to sell that property. Or you hold on to that property and lose money every month because you have to pay money in addition to what the renters are paying you to pay the mortgage. Very bad idea. How did you get yourself into that situation? People do that all the time. And I wonder what's going on in this world of ours. So why don't you do your due diligence? Why don't you do your research? Why don't you do what you have to do to make money rather than wing it and lose money? Right. So definitely buying properties with negative cash flow is a no-no. Trap number 6, poor property management. So maybe you're the one who's managing the property, or you now started to find, like, maybe you found yourself entangled in a complicated relationship with a bad property management company. You know, you got to avoid. I don't know if we have a checklist. I think that's for the coaching students for how to vet property manager, but you have to understand how to vet a property management company if you wanted to outsource that and make sure they're doing a good job. In fact, if you're a savvy investor and you're within a coaching program, you already know that you have your own systems of property management. All those 11 documents, those are your systems for property management. So even if your property manager was not implementing, they could copy your system and implement for you. You don't know what they're doing with their other clients, but they could implement that for you to be safe. Repairs are a big one for maintenance, right? Maintenance and repairs. And tenant screening is like the biggest thing. How are they screening the tenants? How exactly are they getting these folks to live on your property? So being entangled in a bad relationship with property management, that's not good, is really an issue. So maybe how about have somebody suggest who they like, who they're using, recommendations, referrals from other investors in that area, right? And also asking them specific questions on how they're screening tenants, if they've had any issues, and how they run. By the time you listen to them, you kind of already know whether they're good or not. Okay. So poor property management is a big one, either by you or the property manager themselves. You can also be the one who decides to do this on your own and you're not good at it. That can be a headache. That can be a reason why you decide not to ever invest in real estate again, right? Depending on the intensity of the problem and what happens. So be very careful with that. And number 7 track is you have no backup strategy. So you looked at this property, you said, I want to fix this property up. I want to put it on the market. I want to sell. And then it doesn't sell, for example, right? For example, or it's not selling, or you're losing money. So what else could you do with that property? Before even going into the deal, you should be looking at different options. What would I do if this doesn't happen? What would I do if this doesn't happen? Already knowing that you were conservative with your ARV, you were pretty conservative with repairs as well. That means you left a lot of room for repairs. You're doing all your due diligence as far as staging, as far as professional photography before putting that property on the market. You're doing everything you should be doing in the books to sell. There's no reason why you wouldn't sell. No reason. even in a bad market, people still buy properties, especially when your price, which is the number one thing, if your price is conservative or your ARV is conservative. But then after all that, you still will benefit from having a backup strategy. What else can I do with this property? If I had to keep this property, what would I lose? How much would I make? Okay. So exit strategy is very important. Right now, I'm going to just go ahead and have you guys type in the comments checklist if you want a due diligence checklist. So what to do, what not to do. Type that in the comments, due diligence, type checklist in the comments. I'm going to have Meg send over today's resource to you on due diligence, which will be the checklist for due diligence. Also, if you're looking to join our coaching program, our inner circles. So here's the thing, and I know you guys probably are aware of this whole 50% off going on 50%. It's been 50% off for a while, and we're rounding that up finally. So if you want to jump in, I think it's only going to run maybe towards the end of the year, for the last week of the year. If you want to jump in at that point, feel free to jump in before it goes up, because we would not be retaining those prices anymore. So definitely, if you want to start your journey and start you with a step-by-step guide and start to do deals, and now we've made deals easier within the coaching program by having a deal portal where you can go on there and start to make offers on profitable properties. So you want to fast track your progress, type inner circle in the comments so that your 2025 can be different from your 2024. Don't go into 2025 like this, broke and confused, okay? Do real estate investors get broke? So here's what I think with real estate investors, right? So you guys, I remember earlier in my journey, and you know, there are like different phases in real estate investing. So earlier, I think you can be broke because all your money is invested. If you do not line up private money lending, right, you can feel broke. Or if you lined up private money and you now also added your money to it, you're gonna feel broke. I'm telling you. So, but here's the thing, even when you feel that way, you feel happy. It's a good kind of broke because your money is somewhere. It's not lost, it's not missing. And you didn't buy a Gucci bag that would evaporate after a while. You are actually putting your money in something good. So it's a good kind of broke. But if you have the bad kind of broke going on right now, don't do that. So make the right decisions and invest in yourself. So if you want to join the inner circle, definitely type inner circle in the comments so you can enjoy the final 50% off going on for the year. And if you have any questions, you know where to find me, and type in the comments if you need anything. For now, I think it's a wrap. I would say have a great night, everyone, and I'll see you on the next live. Bye.